Alright, here's my tutorial for Half-Life 1 speedrunning. I'm Alex Howe, and this is the first part, which is going to be the setup and anomalous materials route. Keep in mind that this run is only going to be for scriptless, easy difficulty runs. If you want to run hard, I don't know what's wrong with you, you shouldn't run hard. If you want to run scripted, also don't do that. It's not bad, but you should really run scriptless for your first category. So anyway, the first and most important part about all this is what version of the game do you run? Well, gold source package is what you want. If you look it up on Google, you'll find a Source Runs wiki page with the download links to gold source package and gold source package 2.01. The two versions are 2.01 and 1.34, and they do have different strengths and weaknesses. I personally recommend 1.34 for newer runners. However, you might like 2.01 better, knowing what the advantage of it is, which I will explain later on in the run. The advantage of 1.34 is that you have 2 quick saves and 2 autosaves as opposed to 2.01 where you only have 1 of each. I personally like this one better because you have more forgiving. It's just more forgiving in general, but the other one is more forgiving in a different way, and you might like that version better. So, you need to have Half-Life on Steam for this to work, so if you don't have the game, you're going to probably have to buy it. And you're going to want to double click on Half-Life 1 in order to open the 1 version of the game down here. You're also going to want to have BunnyMod XT. Make sure you have the most recent version of BunnyMod, the DLL right here. And then you're going to want to double click the injector while your game is open to get BunnyMod in your game. The last thing you're going to want to launch is R input. So just double click on this and then type hl.exe like so. And the game will, program will put raw input into your Half-Life 1. So, now that we've gotten that all taken care of, let's get right into the run. But before that, we got to talk about some binds. Now, very important that you have good binds for your run. So, good bind that you're going to want to have is M wheel down. That should be set to plus jump or plus duck. And the other one should be set to whatever the opposite is. You don't want both set to jump because you want to have plus duck for a movement technique called duck rolling, as well as some tricks later on we're going to be talking about. But it's very important that you have something like M wheel down and plus duck, or plus jump and plus duck bound to your mouse wheel, because it's going to make your life so much easier in the future. Other things you're going to want are weapon binds. So I have all these bound. Really, these are all the weapons that you're going to need, so you might want to just copy these or make your own weapon binds. Whoops. Do whatever you want, really, but please get weapon binds. If you don't have weapon binds, your life's going to be so much harder. Weapon binds are great. Just take a few minutes to just set these up and set them up to how you want them to be, and you're going to not regret it. Trust me, it is so worth it. You're also going to want some FPS binds. I have mouse 4 set to FPS max 20, mouse 5 set to 99.5. Those are my side mouse buttons. I have a Logitech G502 mouse. Very good mouse for running Half-Life. If you need a good mouse, I would recommend getting a G502 because the scroll wheel is really good, which is evidently really good for this game as well. You're also going to want to have something for FPS max 8 and FPS max 4. Those are very useful to have. And then for quick saves and quick loads, you're going to want to have something for a quick save, quick load 01, load autosave 01, and load autosave and load autosave 01. If you're running gold source package 2.05, you will not have quick 01 or autosave 01. You'll just have quick and load autosave. So, again, if you're on 2.01, you won't have these two binds, but if you are, I would recommend having them. Now that we've got all that out of the way, those are the essential binds that you need. We're going to be getting right into the run. So, you're going to want to type map C1AO. The reason for this is because you do not want to go into the first actual chapter of the game, Black Mesa Inbound, because it's going to be a 7-minute sequence of you watching yourself go on a train. Really boring. We don't do it in the run because the people who initially ran this game thought that it was stupid and we didn't want to deal with that garbage. So we just skip straight to the second chapter where the actual game begins. So type map C1AO into your console and it will bring you right here. Now, first things first. we got to get out of this room. And there's no tricks or anything. Just wait for the door. But we have to get out with some good speed to make our bunny hop throughout the first map of the game nice and quick. We don't want to just walk, because walking is slow, and this game's all about movement and going fast. So, let's talk about the movement. Now, this is going to be a brief rundown of a lot of movement techniques, or at least the essential ones that you're going to need for the first chapter. I will most likely make a more comprehensive and in-depth guide on the movement in this game and how to master it. I'm still mastering it myself. Mastering movement in this game is pretty much impossible, though. You can just get really good at it. And movement is one of the most important aspects of running Half-Life 1. If you have really good movement, you're going to be able to PB so much easier than if you don't have good movement. So I would highly recommend you practice movement a lot, but also don't let it discourage you from actually running the game at first, because you do want to have good movement, but you also just want to play the game to get good movement. Don't just focus on sitting on Crossfire practicing your bunny hops, or don't focus on practicing small sections to improve your bunny hopping. Just play through the run a few times, and it will improve. As time goes on, as you play more, you'll realize more of the little in-depth tricks that you need to master in order to get better movement. So, first things first, how do you bunny hop? Well, if you remember before, we have M wheel down set to plus jump. So, instead of using the space bar, as you see on my no board, I am using my scroll wheel to B hop. Now, the main trick with B hopping is that you don't want to hit W. You just want to hold D when you're turning your mouse right, and hold A when you're turning your mouse left. Or D for right, A for left, excuse me. I don't know if I said the opposite. So as you see, I'm turning my mouse left, I'm holding A. I'm turning my mouse right, I'm holding D. Keep that in mind. Always make sure you are moving your mouse and character in the same direction, and you'll slowly be building up speed. I haven't been doing good B hops right now, but that's okay. So, now that you know how to very simply bunny hop, how do you get fast at bunny hopping first? Because you might be thinking, how are you getting such high speeds in these runs? I'm starting off so slow. I'm just now getting to 500 speed, and I thought I was doing pretty well. Well, there's a few different ways on how to build up speed for your bunny hops very quickly. We're going to be going over 2 right now. There's going to be plenty of more throughout the run later on. The first one we're going to be talking about is wall strafing. It's a very, very simple technique. One of the most simple ways to get speed in this game, in fact. So, if you notice, I'm walking against this wall only holding W. I'm moving at about 320 movement speed, maybe 319 every so often. However, if I hold D, strafing against the wall, I'm moving way faster than that. Over 100 movement speed faster than that, so almost 40% faster, it seems. The reason for this is because when you're strafing into the wall, the game's kind of converting your wall movement, or your strafing movement speed into the forward direction since there's a wall in the way. So you can use this to build up a faster start for your bunny hop. See, we're already at 600 speed, when before that would take a really long time to do if you were just doing a normal bunny hop. So, again, just get next to a wall and strafe against it, and you'll start moving a lot faster. Now, this is probably, the next thing I'm talking about, is probably the most important aspect of movement that you need to master if you want to get good at moving in this game. And it's called pre-strafing. Pre-strafing is this. So, as you see, I'm starting off my bunny hops like this at around 480 movement speed, as opposed to if I just did it like this, less than 400. The reason why you want to do something like this is so that you can just start off your bunny hops already going decently fast instead of having to build up that speed. How do you pre-strafe? Well, it's similarly to how you build speed during a bunny hop. You hold A, strafe in whatever direction, and then start jumping. However, in this case, you actually do want to hold W. You want to hold W in some direction, and then just jump as soon as you build up a decent amount of speed, and move your mouse in whatever direction you want to go. So I want to go right here, I hold WD, and then strafe right, and I can start building up a bunny hop at pretty good amounts of speed. You can also do this pretty well just looking forward. You don't even need to be looking like 90 degrees like this. Like, as you can see, I'm looking directly at there. I just do a small pre-strafe. I already start off with 460. Do it again, 470 almost. Do it again, you know. Like, you just practice this a lot. Try to get close to 480, 470. Just try to get nice high 400 numbers, and you'll be starting off your bunny hop so much stronger. than if you were to just do it forward. I see so many newer Half-Life runners completely ignore pre-strafing as an extremely important technique, and I ignored it for a very long time myself as well because I was just not informed about how insanely useful it was. Again, this is the most important aspect of movement, in my opinion, in the game. Aside from just scrolling your mouse wheel, this is what's going to get you most of your speed, because a lot of bunny hopping sections, you're not going to be able to just use insane amounts of speed throughout the entire thing. You're going to maybe hit a wall and need to build up your speed again. You're going to hit an enemy and need to build up your speed again. You need to have this trick and this technique mastered it so that you can very easily just build up your speed without having to waste so much time trying to just get up to a basic number that you can get instantly by pre-strafing. So, now that you have those techniques down, let's go back to C1AO. So, I'm going to be going over 3 different methods for how to get out of this room as quickly as possible. The first one is, in my opinion, the most basic. The second one, in my opinion, is probably a little bit more complicated than the other two. And the third is what I use because I think it's a nice mix between speed and consistency. So, the first one is what I used to do. Just get in the back right corner of this room and wait for the noise from this thing opening to go away. Hold D and W against the wall to wall strafe, and then just start bunny hopping throughout this map. So, alright, that was pretty fast. Whoops, I did not mean to quit the game. Let's open the game again. That was silly. Alright, so get back on C1AO. So here's the second method. This is what I call the Nihilanth method, because this is where I first saw it from his stream. As soon as you almost hear the noise going away, wall strafe away from the door, and then just do a nice little 360 bunny hop like so, and then just jump your way through the door. This way you're going to want to do a little bit before you hear the noise completely go away, just because it takes a little bit longer than the other method, but it works very well. Now, the third method is what I currently use in my runs, where it's very simple. Not as simple as the initial, but basically just get on top of this line. And once the door is about to open, just do a nice little pre-strafe and jump your way through the door. Doing that method might also improve your pre-strafes faster than you might, a lot faster, which would be pretty advisable. So I would recommend that one if you want to improve your pre-strafes. But anyway. So now that we are, So now that we're going to be making our way into the next map here, you can jump through here, just continue bunny hopping your way through, and then when you get to this door, what I like to do is I like to jump off of this bench like so. If I can do it correctly, there we go. Then when you're above that console, you want to activate it as you fly above it, and then grab the suit as quickly as you can, and if you can, try to jump back onto that platform. If you can't get it, don't worry about it. If you say mess it up, or let's try to mess it up this time. So let's say you mess it up, like, oh no, I fell. Just jump up these stairs, make your way around. It's not that much slower, but I always, whenever I don't make it, reset my runs, just because I like to be very optimal in the first few maps of my run. So if you want to, go for it. If not, don't worry about it. When you're jumping your way through here, just try to cut corners as cleanly as possible without sacrificing too much speed. And then when you get close to this guy, Barney, this isn't the real Barney, but we call all security guards Barney, so keep that in mind. We're going to be doing our first FPS trick of the game, where lowering your FPS to 8 will make him turn faster. So what I do is, as you see, he comes out really far whenever you get up to him. He comes out way farther than he really needs to. So what I do is I brush up against him. I basically force him to take a shorter path towards the button, and I lower my FPS to 8 to make him turn faster. So if you just walk up to him and push up against him and make him turn faster, he'll take a shorter path to get there, and lowering your FPS will make him turn faster, so he'll open this door much faster than just normally letting him do it. After you do that, bunny hop your way over here and quickly hit that button, and then when you get through here, just make sure you don't hit the doors or anything, walk off the edge like this, grab the ladder, and immediately jump off of it and continue making your way through these hallways. Now, going into this next map here, there's going to be a change level trigger right ahead of us. You're going to want to go into this map twice. So you're going to want to go in, come back out, and then go in again. You might be wondering, why would I want to do this? Well, let's just see what happens if we do it once. So we go in, go into here, and then push up against this guy. We want to push this guy into that door on the opposite side of the room, but just look how long it took him to start moving. However, if we do it like this, we go in twice, he'll start moving instantly. He literally will not wait a single second. The moment you touch him, he's on his way. So taking a little bit of extra time to go into this map twice allows that man to kind of be pushed a little bit faster. So again, go in, come back out, go in again, and then just push against this guy, and then push him towards the door. Try to push him as directly as possible so that you can get him there in kind of 3 pushes. Jump your way over to this elevator, hit the button, and wait for the elevator to come up. And just hit this button, wait for the elevator to go down, and bunny hop your way through these hallways to get over to the next map. Now for this map, we're going to be doing more pushing. Push both of these guys kind of towards these little white pillars. The second one from each of their sides of the room. And then push them towards their consoles. This will make it so that when they eventually do open this main door to let you into the test chamber, that it will take significantly less time. You're also going to want to turn Mr. Slick back here closer towards you. The reason behind this is because when that guy turns towards his console, he actually does it a little bit sooner than this guy. This guy will always turn second, compared to that guy who will always turn first. So right before this guy turns, you're going to want to lower your FPS to 8 to make them both turn as quickly as they possibly can. And ideally, they'll both activate at the same time. And you can just jump your way right through that and get your way into this room. Now keep in mind, when you're jumping through that door, you want to jump through and go as straight as possible towards the center of the room. The reason is because there is a trigger in the center of the room that closes that door and causes this next sequence where they start talking again to trigger as soon as possible. So just make sure you're going as straight as you possibly can throughout that door to make it to the center of the room as quickly as you possibly can. Wait up here, and then once Einstein over there says "and," that button will open up. So when he says like anti-mass spectrometer to 105% or whatever, you can just start mashing E, and as soon as that thing opens, you can just start messing around. Now, we're going to be doing a very complicated trick coming up shortly. In fact, there's going to be 2 different methods for doing it. One of them is going to be called Vortigaunt Jump, and the other one is called Test Chamber Skip. Vortigaunt Jump is about a minute faster than the traditional method of doing this part, and Test Chamber Skip is about 2 minutes faster. I'm going to be talking about Test Chamber Skip first, despite it being a little bit more complicated. But I will be doing Vortigaunt Jump first. So, a quick rundown of Test Chamber Skip is that it uses a technique called object boosting. Or OBO for short, OBBO. So if you hear me say oboe, I mean object boost. Now, essentially how an object boost works is that, in fact, we will go back, or I should say forward, to a future save to show it off. Maybe it's Rails. There we go. So, right now we have an object right in front of us, and we have a nice big hallway here that we could just bunny hop through like normal. However, that's really slow. Why would you want to do that? You could do something like this, where if you look at my note board, you might want to slow the video down to see this a little bit better, but if we hold E on the object, hit D, let go of E, and then jump, we can get a really, really big amount of speed very quickly. You might have seen this in a lot of people's runs because they do this quite often in order to build up a lot of speed. This is another method that people use to start their bunny hops off really fast, and it's one of the best ones for it. However, it's one of the most precise things in terms of trying to build up your bunny hop speed. So, this is something that we're going to be doing over in the test chamber. So let's load back up our autosave. Well, let's actually just load this save. So, pretend that we waited through that entire sequence and that this crystal thing came up. So, this is going to be for Vortigaunt Jump. Ignore what I just said about the object boosting. I will talk about it again in a quick moment. So, push this thing into the center thing here, and then just wait at the very back here. So then you're just going to want to wait at the very back of this kind of platform here. It's the one that's closest to the door that you were just let in from, so that's an easy way to remember. And you're going to see, in a moment, you're going to see that these are Vortigaunts spawning from the sky. So that one's going to spawn and then immediately disappear. We don't want this one that's going to be spawning right in front of us to disappear. If you stand right below him, he won't spawn, by the way. So you want to stand pretty far back away from him. But once he does spawn, you want to get right under him and jump right into him. And then immediately start bunny hopping over to this ladder, and then riding up the ladder to get on top of this light. In order to get on top of this light, you're going to want to lower your FPS to 20 while climbing the ladder. And then once you get pretty high up on your jump there, you're going to want to hit crouch, which will let you get on top of this light. The reason why we want to get to the top of the light is because there's actually a trigger that will cause us to teleport to the alien homeworld Zen, which wastes a lot of time compared to if we just sit here. So we can just sit up here awkwardly waiting for this trigger to disappear, and you're going to see all these sparks come out and then hear a noise. Once that noise is over, you're free to jump down, and then we're going to be doing the Vortigaunt jump. This is a hard trick, and don't be discouraged if you can't get it right away, because it is difficult. So, what we're going to want to be doing is essentially we want to get this guy's attention so that he wants to zap us. And then right after we jump, we're going to be jumping on his head, and then right after we jump off of him, we want him to zap us and send us into that room over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right about where this pillar is for this kind of, railing. Like so. Jumping off of him, allowing him to kind of boost us up like that. You can either do it like how I'm doing it right now with a little bit of a strafe jump. This is how I like to do it. Or you could just do a quick wall strafe like so and jump right off of him. I'm able to do it fairly easily because I've done this method hundreds and hundreds of times, but if you don't want to do this, or if you find this really difficult, don't be discouraged, because it took me well over an hour to do this my first try. So don't be discouraged if you can't get this right away. It's a very difficult skip, and once you do get it, it's going to come a lot more naturally to you as you practice it more and more. But let's go back to the other method with the object boosting I was talking about before. So if you remember, well, let me just quickly say, just wait for the level transition to happen, just kind of sit here. And one last thing you're going to want to worry about is if this guy starts trying to attack you when you're sitting up there, just continuously save load the game over and over again, and he won't be able to land his attack because he'll just keep restarting his animation. So, now that we have that down, let's go back to our rail boost. So if you remember, we kind of launch ourselves to the right with a object boost like so. By using the object, pushing it to the right, and then letting go of the object, and then jumping. It allows us to build up a very, very large amount of speed, allowing us to go super fast very easily. Go back to the test chamber. Remember, we could use this object. We could fling it. As you can see, it can make us go very fast. So, what's the method here? Well, you're going to want to have a crosshair for this. And you might be thinking, well, you have a weapon right now. Where did you get this weapon? This is just a fancy save I have, which, has a bunch of weapons, like a Gauss rifle and all that kind of cool stuff. You're not going to have this when you're doing runs, obviously. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to load a random save you have, like a practice save. Like, let's say you went back and you loaded your save for, Office Complex, right? So you have a crosshair for this part because you have your crowbar, you have your pistol. Once you're on the save, you're going to want to go back and do map C1AO to start your run. And as you see, you now have a crosshair. But if you save load, that crosshair is going to go away. So really, what you're going to want to do is you want to have your crosshair, go back to map C1AO, and get all the way to where you're going to do the test chamber skip without saving or without loading a save. If you save, it doesn't matter. Just don't load that save, or else your crosshair is going to go away. Anyway, so going back here, we're going to be moving this object to the right, over this kind of little blue surface onto the green surface, and then move it back. So that it's as far back left as it can possibly go. Next thing we're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure your GL texture mode is on GL nearest map nearest. So just kind of put this command into console, and it will lower your texture mode to look like garbage like this. And you're going to want to line yourself up in a very particular spot. What I do is I line myself up right in the center where these two different colored squares meet, but right above, so that I'm inside these kind of orange and kind of, brownish orange squares. So when you're right above here, and keep in mind that I'm holding E to move very slowly while I'm on the ground here, because holding control, you move upwards of 100 move speed. When you hold E, you move only at a mere 10, making it very easy to line yourself up. So once you get a good position on the floor, you're going to want to look over at the cart, and you're going to want to line yourself up with this little black smudge in between this little silver circle and this little rectangle here. It's a little black smudge dead smack in the middle that you're going to want to line yourself up with. You look directly at it or above or below, it doesn't matter as long as you are lined up with it. So what you're going to want to do now is you're going to hold E, hit D, and then let go of E with precise timing until you get 1895 move speed. This is very, very precise, and it's very difficult to get. However, there is actually a way to make this more consistent. And you might be thinking, well, why does this work in general anyway? Well, if we quickly look at BXT, and we use the show triggers command, you're going to see a green square in the top of the screen there. Those green squares are what change level triggers are. Essentially, if you touch that, you're going to go to the next map. And you might be thinking, alright, well, how do I get up there? So, as you see from before, if we do this launch correctly, we can kind of strafe our way right in, and now we're on the second map, or second chapter of the run. So, there's an easier way of doing this than just going off pure timing. It's a little bit slower, so if you're going for an extremely optimal time, like a 30 or a world record, you might not want to do this. But what you can do, hold E, hit D, and then pause your game. And the command for pause is pause, and you're going to have two pause keys, one on one key and one preferably on a key right next to that one key. So, again, just load your save, hold E, hit D a little bit to move the object, and then just randomly save. Doesn't matter what frame you're on. And then you're going to want to hit each key basically at near the same time, but one you want to hit slightly after the other. Just so very slightly that you're basically hitting them at the same time. And you're going to want to try to get around a 2180 move speed. 2183, 2182 doesn't matter. You're just going to want to get around 2100 move speed. If you're not able to get that number at all, it's because your lineup is not very good. But again, what I do is I move the object a little bit, then do my first pause, and then try to get the 2183. Before you unpause, you're going to want to make a save, and then unpause your game with whatever your pause keys are, and you'll be able to launch into the sky. Now, in order to hit the trigger for the change level, you're going to want to hold D for like a quarter, maybe half a second on this wall. And it will slow you down to the perfect speed to run right into that trigger. So then what you're going to want to do is save and load when your screen goes black. Lower your FPS to 20 before you land to minimize your fall damage. And then drop down into there and then get into your here. Now, this method is 55 seconds faster than Vortigaunt jump. So it's very, very, very useful to go for. But it's very, very difficult. And I make it look easy because I've been doing it for so long. But trust me, it's not easy. And if you get discouraged, don't worry. You will get it. Just keep practicing and it will come. If this wasn't comprehensive enough, or if you need me to explain something further, just feel free to leave comments asking me particular questions. And I will make follow-up videos regarding popularly asked questions, or really just any question at all. I'm going to be organizing this tutorial series in a way that if something is not clarified easily enough, or something needs to be explained in a bit more detail, I can follow up on the video with a 1-2 or a 1-3 or so on to kind of clarify on something that I might have explained poorly. But whatever the number of the video is going to be the main video itself. So again, thank you for watching. I hope this is clear to you. If it's not, don't be afraid to ask me in the comments. Don't be afraid to ask me on Discord or on Twitter if you need help with a particular thing, and I'm going to be very willing to work with you. I would love to get more people into speedrunning Half-Life, and I would love to get more people to enjoy this game that I love so much. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.